Right, just got the bike. I think it's Thursday. Because my maid hasn't came today, so it's probably Thursday. It could be Friday. She might just not be here yet. Let's check on this laptop. I think yes, it's Thursday. Okay. Right, so we got the bloody cars. MTX rim. This is a good quality one. Probably not going to have the same spoke breaking issues as with the one that I originally had, my original 1500 watt motor on the mountain bike. Although this one will have more of a trouble because it doesn't have the full suspension that my first mountain bike had. This is just a hardtail. So looking at it, it looks about the same sort of size and shape as the 1500 watt. I can't really tell much difference. This looks quite a good high quality, fairly good. That size of that look, first gear is quite good. Yeah, the rim tape feels like quite thick, good quality. Yeah, I could recommend this one. Then this is the bike. I'm not a big fan of the colour. I thought it'd be a little bit more white. I knew it was going to be a sort of greyish, dull white. It's very hard to tell from photos. Had a difficult time picking what one I wanted, and this one was the best, but it's not a colour that I really like. But whatever. The tyres seem good. They're a bit wider than the ones I was going to put, that I've ordered to put on it. The tread is a bit shallow though. I don't know if that's just style nowadays, but otherwise they seem like good mountain bike tyres. The seat is very high, set very high. I can even get on that. You'd have to be like 7 feet tall. This is supposed to be a large size frame. Supposed to be a large size frame, yes it is. It's 27.5 inch tyres. The brakes feel a bit cheap, the levers feel a bit cheap. They're Tektro somethings, which is one of the cheap, like, entry level brands. They feel a bit plasticky. I think my other ones on the blue bike feel more metal high quality. These ones feel cheap and plasticky, even though the quality level should be about similar. Front forks are probably not that good because they're Suntour, which is the same brand that's on my gravel bike. The hydraulic discs the disc rotors are, the front one's bigger than the back, which is not what I personally like. I like to have them the same. This rotor also has some weird dust or something on it, which is weird. Maybe it's from its manufacturer, I don't know, or maybe it's the type of brake pad they've used and how it doesn't feel like dust though, it feels like, I don't know, very strange. The cassette looks good. If it's a cassette or a freewheel I don't know, but it looks quite good. I won't be using that though, because I'm using that obviously. I haven't pulled that off yet. That's just to protect it. These things are kind of useless. I don't really use these. I've never used a bell. That sounds shit. The bell feels a bit cheap. Even the bell feels a bit cheap. Sometimes it doesn't work. Look. See? The grips, I really don't like the grips. I'll be swapping those as soon as I can, I think. I really don't like how they feel when you squeeze them. Sorry, I'm just completely out of breath, even though I'm not really doing anything. The handlebars, I'm worried they're going to be a bit too wide. I know it's the style on the mountain bikes, the pro ones, to have. These really feel quite cheap, those rear brakes. Well, those hydraulic brakes, they really feel cheap. Yeah, I know it's the style, but when you're trying to like maneuver the bike through tight spaces, or like get it inside, or just like slip past a car, go as close to a car as you can, you don't really want like really wide handlebars, if that makes sense. You're more likely to sort of catch them on things. I don't know if they're as wide as the ones on my big bike, which are like 780. They're like the widest ones you can possibly get. So yeah, it's okay. Internal wiring, I'm not a big fan of, because I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to deal with it. But it does simplify things in terms of mounting things inside of this triangle. Then finally we have the UPP battery. That's poorly made. That heat shrink should be covering that, especially if we're dealing with a 72 volt system. But that's where the charger goes. That's the power on and off button, and then the voltage display is on the other side. I've not turned it on yet. The last thing I've got is the controller, which I forgot to pick out. Oh, I've got two Torx arms, so it came with one. I've bought another one. This would be the controller. The Sabbaton, look at all those wires, crazy. Sabbaton, whatever it is, 7245-M. It's rated for up to 72 volts batteries. It has a maximum DC current of 45 amps. It has a rated power of 1000 to 2000 watts. So that'd probably be your like continuous power. I believe it can do more than that though, because if you're pushing 45 amps at 72 volts, that's a lot of power. But you're obviously going to have higher peak power for short bursts. Rated power is probably its continuous output, and 2000 watts is good for that. The stock controller cannot handle 72 volts, so that's the reason I got this one. And if you want to get high power through one of these small motors without blowing it up, you're probably better off using higher voltage. Although you can See, you can modify these by using like stator aid and something called hub sinks. But I looked online, and those hub sinks were not actually easy to buy, and they were not cheap. Even on AliExpress, they weren't very common. They cost like might cost you £100 just for this piece of metal heatsink that goes around that. Stator aid too, I think, is also expensive. So if you can, you should avoid using those, is what I'm thinking. The other thing to know about these is, once you've made the bike, you actually need to run this. You actually need to connect this to a computer, and you need to run it in set the controller into test mode, and it will do like a hall sensor test or something. It will sort of slowly spin the wheel around, and it like figures out what motor you've got and stuff. And if you don't do that, it can destroy the motor. You have to do that before you use the bike for the first time with these controllers. With a stock controller, you wouldn't have to. So it's not that difficult to make. It's not going to be that hard to make. I just have no energy right now, and just talking about the things is making me like out of breath. So I just slowly get on with it. Oh yeah, the pedals come separately in a bag. I figured they would. That feels a bit stiff, actually. That feels cheap, because it feels like stiff when you turn it. Does that make sense? It's not going to have... I don't like the sound it makes either. It's not going to have that much of a job though, the pedals, you know, just for me to stand on basically. I will pedal sometimes when I go up a hill. When I go up a steep hill that's too much for the motor to handle, that's when I pedal. With my old bike, I had to basically stop halfway up and let the motor cool down with the mountain bike. With the mid-drive Bafang BBS HD, I don't have to do that. It's very good at hill climbing. I've noticed though, with my cousin on that one, he gets up steep hills easier because he weighs like 20 or 30 kilos less than me. In terms of the frame construction, I think it's quite good. It's quite thick and strong around here. I was a bit worried about this part because from the side it looks quite thin, but it's actually a bit wider than it is thin. This part here, and this part here looks fairly strong. It's only made of aluminium, it's not steel, but this part looks strong, which is important. That looks like it's been welded there though. That could be potential breakage point, right, where it's been welded there instead of making it in one part. That's also been welded here as well. You do wonder. I'm not an expert in aluminium fabrication though, so can't see. I don't know. Do you think these are mounting points for a rack or are they for a mudguard? I never know. That's a mounting point for a kickstand, which I may be getting for this bike. I may get one for this bike, although I've never used one before. A bit like a bell I've never used either. I don't know. I just wait patiently until I can slip past people. Right, that's that then. Yeah, so I guess I could recommend all these products. I'd say they're all high quality. The bike itself could be better, but the things that are wrong, you can easily upgrade them. The things that are rubbishy, like the brakes and the front suspension, you can upgrade those. The seat looks okay as well, but I would probably upgrade it to a nice spring seat like I use on my others.